We about to be checking out IGN. They got hands on. Them boys done dropped like 8 videos today on the Steam machine. So we're gonna check out some of these videos. Let's see. Steam frame. No, let's check out the ecosystem. Check this out.
After more than a decade, Valve is launching a new Steam machine. And while this little gaming PC is exciting on its own, it is the next step in Valve's play to become the face of PC gaming, at least more than it already is. Because alongside the Steam machine, Valve is also launching a new controller and the Steam Frame, a VR headset that itself runs on SteamOS.
Right.
Combined with the Steam Deck, Valve now has the makings of its own tech ecosystem. So this didn't happen overnight. This idea of an ecosystem is something Valve has been quietly working on for more than a decade.
That's why I say they've been. I got to restart it anyway. I got the flip. I need to flip I need to put the display port. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, let's restart this.
After more than a decade, Valve is launching a new Steam machine, and while this little gaming PC is exciting on its own, it is the next step in Valve's play to become the face of PC gaming, at least more than it already is. Because alongside the Steam machine, Valve is also launching a new controller and the Steam Frame, a VR headset that itself runs on SteamOS. Combined with the Steam Deck, Valve now has the makings of its own tech ecosystem. So this didn't happen overnight. This idea of an ecosystem is something Valve has been quietly working on for more than a decade.
More than
and now
10
that it seems
years.
like the next generation of consoles is going to look more like gaming PCs than ever, it's the perfect time for Valve to assert itself as the face of PC gaming.
Yes.
Now, this is an opinion piece written by my colleague Jackie Thomas, who also visited Valve with me to see their new hardware, and I do endorse her opinion.
The Steam
So when we talk
ecosystem.
about hardware ecosystems, the first thing that comes to mind is Apple.
Good morning.
Over the last couple of decades, the tech giant has created a range of devices that all work in concert, syncing together to your settings and preferences. It's why, for the most part, when you get a new iPhone these days, setting up a new device is as simple as holding it up over your old iPhone, letting software move everything
That's
over.
crazy.
This works with pretty much all of Apple's devices too. Whether it's an Apple Watch, Apple TV, or even a MacBook, everything is just kind of easier if you have other devices from Apple. On the surface, these devices are all distinct from one another, but because Apple makes both the hardware and the software, the company can make it extremely tempting to only buy Apple products. It just makes certain things easier. Apple's definitely not alone in doing this. Even staying in the realm of phones, Samsung is very similar in its approach too.
Yeah.
There is a problem with this though. Apple's ecosystem is often referred to as a walled garden in the way that it makes people feel trapped after they've already invested in a couple of Apple devices. But it's not the only way to do it. Microsoft has also tried to create a similar ecosystem several times, starting with the Windows Phone. Jackie says she was one of the 12 people who owned one of these things and says it was genuinely useful to be able to carry Windows settings over to a phone.
Yeah, I didn't have the Windows Phone, but I think I don't know if my mama had it or not. I think it was something. I think it was like the Sidekick or something that had like Xbox on it.
But even after Microsoft's mobile operating system faded into obscurity, Windows started to become a lot better at being a multi-device ecosystem in and of itself, even if it was limited to PCs. If you have multiple PCs running off of Windows, it's remarkably easy to set up, so everything is just shared between all of them. Game saves, documents, and even settings are easy to set up, so they sync between your different devices. And more recently with gaming, the company has also tried to work Xbox into this ecosystem-centric approach. That's why Microsoft claims everything is an Xbox, because through programs like Play Anywhere and Game Pass, everything potentially is. There's just one problem though, it's the user experience. Because Windows has been designed around a keyboard and mouse for decades, retooling it to be cross-compatible with a UI that's primarily used with a controller is going to take a lot of work. Microsoft has made some decent first steps in making Windows usable with a controller. Just look at the Xbox Ally X, but Valve has a leg up with SteamOS.
Yes. SteamOS
Between the
is
Steam
key.
machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Deck, Valve is clearly moving to make SteamOS more of a platform of its own. It blew up in popularity with the Steam Deck in 2022, but it's been around much longer than that. Valve's Linux-based SteamOS launched in 2013, followed by the original Steam machines in 2015. But while the skeleton of the operating system was similar, it relied on games that already had built-in Linux support. There certainly were games that would run on SteamOS, but not enough to sell people on abandoning Windows altogether, especially when it was paired with expensive hardware. This led to third-party Steam machines being rebranded as Windows 8-based mini PCs, and it seemed like Valve's PC making days were in the past. But in 2018, Valve funded Proton, a compatibility layer that allowed SteamOS, along with other Linux distros, to run Windows games. While it was rough at first, only supporting a few games according to a post on Gaming on Linux, it's grown considerably in the 7 years since its initial release. Proton is what ultimately led to the Steam Deck's success. Through this modified version of Wine, Valve's little handheld can run pretty much any game in our libraries, albeit excluding any games that rely on anti-cheat software. As an operating system, it's only getting better too. With Valve's upcoming VR headset, the Steam Frame, it shows it's able to get Proton running on Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which not only allows Windows games to run on Linux, but also allows games built on traditional PC processors like the x86 architecture to run on ARM. That's something Apple has been struggling with. Just look at the limited amount of PC games that are running on macOS, even with the Rosetta translation layer. Thanks to Proton, Valve can now relaunch the Steam machine while completely avoiding the compatibility issues that killed it in the past. It's also joining a growing crowd of devices that are running SteamOS. Since people are already familiar with the operating system, it'll be more natural for them to ease into Valve's nascent ecosystem. What's more, SteamOS and Proton are largely open source, so you don't even have to tie yourself down to Valve's hardware to get in on it. For the longest time, if you wanted to play PC games, you were almost forced into Windows, and it's not that hard to see why. Microsoft's operating system has always had good hardware compatibility, which meant a wide range of machines and a huge built-in install base. But as Windows 11 gets more bloated with features like Copilot, an alternative has been desperately needed. The Steam Deck showed that it was possible to play most games without Windows, and the Steam machine is going to go even further with its more powerful hardware, but there's still room to grow. Thankfully, due to the open source nature of Linux, which SteamOS is built on, anyone can install it or modify it to their own needs. The actual launcher is proprietary, of course, but you can add and remove features to SteamOS if you have the technical know-how, or at least know how to follow instructions on a GitHub page. Right now, you can theoretically install SteamOS on any computer, even if it's not technically supported by Valve. You just have to go to the SteamOS recovery page, download the image to a flash drive, and follow the instructions to install it. As of this video, only the Steam Deck and the Legion Go S are guaranteed by Valve to work, but as long as you have AMD hardware, you should be good to go. And even if you can't, there's always Bazite, another gaming-centric Linux distro. So Valve might be launching a bunch of official devices that are running SteamOS, but you don't really have to use any of them to get in on this platform. It'll be more user-friendly on devices that already have everything installed and configured, but Valve isn't going to do anything to stop you from using any other hardware. Similarly, the Steam machine itself is compatible with any controller, so you don't have to use the new Steam controller, and in turn, the Steam controller will work with any PC, regardless of operating system. Valve is just putting the toys out there and letting people play with them however they want.
and that's one of the big things about this too. You can use any controller that you want to. You don't even have to buy the Steam controller. I just want to go ahead and get into it. Just get all three. Like VR, I really wasn't. I really don't care for VR, but I mean, that right there is kind of more intriguing to get because I can play my Steam library on the VR. So non-VR games as well. So VR and non-VR games. So hey, that's just something to cop, man.
Both Microsoft and Valve are selling a dream of sorts, one where you can play all your games on any device. And in some ways, PC gaming is already there. You can access any of your games across different launchers and operating systems, and they'll work. Plus, more games now than ever support cloud saves. The problem comes from trying to play those games on anything but a desktop. As we've seen with the plethora of Windows handhelds that have come out over the last couple of years, Windows doesn't play that well when you're trying to use a device with a controller. SteamOS runs most games and is very user-friendly whether you're using it with a keyboard and mouse or a controller. Add on the fact that the operating system is free to download on any device and isn't loaded with features that slow you down or spy on you, and it really does start to seem like SteamOS and other Linux gaming distros are going to be the future of gaming. There are definitely still kinks to the operating system. Linux can be complicated to install, and a lot of multiplayer games just don't run on it. But the more people install and run games on SteamOS, Bazite, or other Linux operating systems using Proton, the better the software is eventually going to be, and the more incentive that developers and publishers will have to make sure that their games will launch with native support for SteamOS. And we don't know about you, but we're ready for a major gaming platform that's open and free, and most importantly, that isn't loaded with subscription fees and AI services that you're never going to use.
That's the big kick about this too. It's going to be free, no subscription base. So this could be the start of PlayStation getting rid of it because the PlayStation 3 didn't have it. It been free. The only reason why PlayStation had went over to a subscription base because Xbox went over to a subscription base. So now, guys, this is good for the industry, bro. Seriously, this is good for the industry. I just cannot keep on repeating myself about that, bro. This is good for the industry, yo. This is gonna put some fire to their behinds for real.
And there you have it. If you need the details on all of Valve's newly announced hardware, check out our hands-on previews of the Steam Machine, Steam Controller, and Steam Frame.
There we go.
Steam Machines are back for the first time since Valve teamed up with manufacturers like Alienware and Lenovo back in the 2010s. But while those original console PC hybrids failed because the software wasn't quite there yet, and there's a lack. Steam Machines are back for the first time since Valve teamed up with manufacturers like Alienware and Lenovo back in the 2010s. But while those original console PC hybrids failed because the software wasn't quite there yet and there's a lack of an appetite for it, 2022 Steam Deck has paved the way for the Steam Machine's return. This time around, instead of partnering with outside manufacturers, Valve is building and releasing a singular Steam Machine with the goal of being able to run all current PC games. Let's jump into some of the technical stuff. Valve is aiming for any game available on Steam to run at 4K with upscaling techniques such as FSR. The secret behind this is an AMD RDNA 3 GPU with power roughly equivalent to an RTX 4060 or RX 7600 mobile graphics card.
Is that a lot?
That might be disappointing to anyone looking to max out everything at high resolutions, but it should have plenty of power while still being relatively affordable, we assume. Now,
that's decent. Like that's what I say. Like this is for me, is more or less like for those type of people that don't want to get the whole setup. Like 3-4 monitors, a whole tower, then you got to get the graphics card. Some people just don't have the space for that. So to be able to get this cube, for me to have the same experience as somebody that has all this, that's a plus for me. And on top of it, I can take it with me. I can't take this whole setup with me. I can take that cube with me anywhere I go. I can take the Steam Machine to the hotel, on a trip. You could take it anywhere. You could take it anywhere. So that's the big thing too. Like especially if you have a Steam game that you currently playing that you want to play, CS:GO, like whatever the case may be, something like this is very good and you can travel with it compared to a whole setup like this. And on top of it, it's a good chance that it's gonna be a good price. And I'm thinking $650 at least, cause that's the highest tier Steam Deck. The highest tier Steam Deck is $650. So I'm looking at it being $650, and that's not bad. If they can give us that good price tag, like at least I say $600, everybody gonna eat this up, bro. $600 go eat this up. Do not do what Rogue Ally did and they had the black one, the black version of it, the terabyte one, $1,000. Do not do that. We do not need that.
Anything on price yet. So we spent a day at Valve playing around with it, and while we haven't had the chance to run the usual gamut of gaming benchmarks, it looks like the new Steam Machine might be a serious contender.
And then they're already playing it, so we know this coming out already. They ready for it. They ready. They is very confident in the Steam Machine. And it's so small. It's nice. Bro, it is so nice to see that it doesn't take that much of space. I really had liked the GameCube. The GameCube was nice. It could have just nice. It was just sitting right there. And then now how games is like the Xbox X is huge. The PlayStation 5 is huge. The PlayStation 5 is so big, I gotta hide it. That's how big that is. I gotta stick it in the corner somewhere. But this cube right here, this is nice. It look nice on a TV stand, up under a desk. Like this is nice, bro. It's simple, but simple is good. How you think this look, babe?
Hold up,
Just look at the thing.
it look good. It reminds me of the GameCube. I like the size of it.
Old Steam Machine. They're both gaming PCs with a modest spec and meant to run games on Valve's own Linux-based SteamOS. But while the originals had trouble selling, mostly due to the high prices and a lack of Linux compatibility at the time, SteamOS has changed a lot over the last decade. The
controller is basically the controller is basically the Steam Deck. It got the controller, how they made it, the touchpads on the Steam Deck, the analog sticks on the Steam Deck, and then the back buttons on it. Like that's what they kind of they base this on. They base this on how the Steam Deck is. So just take away the screen and put the Steam Deck together. That's what you got from there. Boom.
part of that is Proton, Valve's compatibility layer that essentially translates Windows games to
What?
Linux, allowing you to play most of Steam's vast catalog of games on SteamOS, even if they don't officially support Linux. Anyone who's used the Steam Deck over the last few years will know that most games run seamlessly through SteamOS, sometimes even with performance that exceeds the equivalent Windows 11 machines, as we saw with the SteamOS version of the Lenovo Legion Go S. There are a few exceptions, notably some online multiplayer games with anti-cheat software that doesn't play nice with SteamOS, like Battlefield 6 and Destiny 2, but for the most part, if it's on Steam, it'll run on SteamOS. Valve let us play a variety of games on the new Steam machine, and it ran everything from Cyberpunk 2077 to Silent Hill F to Metal Gear Solid Delta without any major issues. It just took some configuring to find the right graphic settings to balance performance. Of course, once we get the Steam machine in the lab, we'll be able to run a wider variety of games to see just how flexible it is, but for the time being, it does seem like most games will run. Luckily, Valve is also taking the Steam Deck Verified program and duplicating it for the Steam machine. Soon there will be 3 different verification badges, one each for the Steam Deck, Steam machine, and the Steam Frame, which is Valve's new VR headset.
Okay.
Because the hardware isn't actually out yet, we're not sure how widespread this will be, but if Deck Verified is anything to go off of, you can expect a concerted effort.
Okay, so the
Steam
GameCube.
might be a gaming PC, but it doesn't really look like one. It's a tiny black box with a slim RGB light bar across the front, mostly meant to indicate that it's on. And when I say it's tiny, I mean it. The PC is a cube that measures roughly 6-7 inches on each side.
6-7
It's
inches?
less than half the size of an Xbox Series X. It's actually closer to the size of a GameCube. The front
So
panel
it's almost,
has
it actually is
swapped
close
out
to the
to
size
customize
of a
the way the
GameCube.
console looks. When we were at Valve, we saw a number of custom designs already. Valve hasn't confirmed whether or not it will be selling alternative front panels, but it'll release the 3D printing files so you can make your own, and you can expect third parties to hop on.
Bro, yeah, bro. Yes, they releasing the diagram for the face so we can 3D print. You're going to see some crazy cases, bro. You're going to see some custom, bro. They're going to at least be 30 plus. I might actually have to go buy me a 3D printer and jump on that for real. Cause this right here going to sell, man. This going to sell with Valve doing it themselves. And before they did it with other third parties, and they finally doing it themselves, and they keeping it in their ecosystem. I am very confident in this game system going to sell for the people that just play consoles. Everybody that hasn't have a PC and don't care about PC, they will get this for their PC. 100%. 100%. This right here, and you don't have to use that controller. You can use the Xbox. You can use the PlayStation controller. So you don't even have to use the Steam controller. You can use the Xbox or PlayStation controller, bro. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Because this is ostensibly a desktop PC, there's a wealth of ports. On the front, you got 2 USB-A ports right there,
Yep.
and a micro SD slot.
And micro SD storage, so you can go get a 14 terabyte SD card if you want to. And then boom, you got a monster.
On the back, you get display port.
Got a display port, HDMI port, and the Ethernet cord.
USB-C port, along with the power.
Oh, and you get a
Now
USB-C.
we'll open up the Steam machine itself so we can get a brief look at its internals. A bulk of the space is taken up by a giant heatsink, which has an exhaust fan at the back that sucks air through the front and bottom of the device and expels it through the rear to keep the device operating at a clear temperature. It's a bold design.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. All this cube shows that Nintendo kind of dropped the ball on the GameCube, bro. Nintendo had the GameCube was perfect, man. The GameCube was perfect. Yo, the GameCube was so perfect that when I got in trouble, my mom grabbed that GameCube and rolled that bad boy down the hallway like a bowling ball, and it still worked. It still worked, but it was very tough. It was strong. I like the GameCube.
Except for the reset button.
Oh yeah, oh my God. Yo, you is not lying about that. That reset button used to get stuck. Bro, matter of fact, yo, you know what? In the open one too. Cause when you power it up, you had to open up the CD, that actually had got stuck sometimes too. But that could be like user error though. It could be.
But everybody know.
It's a possibility. It felt like an everybody thing, but you're absolutely right about that. So without those buttons, the GameCube was very doable, bro.
Machine's GPU is operating with a TDP.
You're absolutely right about that, baby.
We'll have to wait and see how its thermals handle load when we get the system in for review early.
Yeah,
The
man.
bottom of the Steam machine houses the SSD, which will come in either a 512GB or 2TB NVMe 2230 drive, depending on which version you buy. You can replace it, and unlike the Steam Deck, the SSD slot has space for a full-sized NVMe 2280 drive, which are both more affordable and easier to find.
And then that's cool too. You could already upgrade. You able to upgrade the SSD that's under there. So that's, man, come on, bro.
Don't get too hopeful about upgrading the device beyond the storage, though. The rest of the components are soldered on and will not be upgradable. The new Steam Machine is one spec.
Just
That's a little
storage.
disappointing, especially given Valve's history of letting its users do what they want with the hardware. However, this is how you get such a tight form factor like this. Given the Steam Machine's console-like qualities, it will likely appeal to most people who just want a plug-and-play gaming device. For them, I suspect a lack of upgradability will be a non-issue, at least until it starts showing its age years down the line. The Steam Machine will also be available with the new Steam controller. Whether or not you get the Steam Machine bundled with the new controller, the system will have the controller's wireless receiver built in, so you don't have to worry about
that would be actually a good thing. That would be a good thing. But the only thing I say, when they already say we able to use any controller, they might not bundle the controller and the console. They might not bundle it. But it's a big possibility that they will, but they might not, since you can use any controller. But we shall see. That would be cool. If they was to bundle it, that would be really good.
USB port available, occupied by a little dongle. This new Steam Machine is powered by a custom chip made by AMD and Valve with an RDNA 3 GPU and 28 compute units and a TDP between 110 and 130 watts, which would place it roughly around a mobile RX 7600. And this is paired with a 6-core Zen 4 CPU with a TDP of around 30 watts. But despite the modest specs, the Steam Machine seems to be a capable gaming PC. We played Cyberpunk 2077 at 4K with ultra preset settings and FSR set to performance, and the action stayed.
You don't need to play with like all that.
Menu and turned on ray tracing, and performance seemed to stay solid.
I don't even
Although
care
we didn't
about
have a frame
4K.
counter up for Cyberpunk, I did get more granular with Metal Gear Solid Delta. It being an Unreal Engine 5 game, mileage will vary, but I found a good middle ground with 1440p, balanced FSR, and high quality settings, and getting 60 FPS at times and dipping to around the 40s at others. Things were slightly different with Silent Hill F though. After a lengthy process of installing the shaders, something every game seems to need to do these days, it defaulted to ultra settings at 4K with TSR.
4K TSR. You do not need to play. You do not need all that to play the game.
Chugging along at what seemed to be 15 to 20 FPS. Not exactly what I'd call playable. After adjusting the settings down to medium at 1440p with FSR enabled, things felt much better, but this just highlights that the Steam Machine is still a gaming PC.
Yeah, bro.
For better and worse.
All that, bro. Guys, do not sit there and trying to max out your settings, bro. Y'all guys still playing on a 1080p monitor. You do not need to try to play in 4K. Come on, bro.
Settings to optimize performance is a time-honored tradition among PC gamers, but again, might be less appealing to people who just want a plug-and-play gaming experience. Valve says it intends for the Steam Machine to be able to play all current games at 4K with FSR upscaling, but there are going to be plenty of games, especially ones running on Unreal Engine 5, where you'll have to lower settings to get it running at a smooth frame rate. If anything, it has us eager to benchmark it to see exactly what it'll be capable of. The compromises you'll have to make on quality settings will vary between games, but it appears things will at least run. It's likely that over time developers will be able to sense the Steam Machine's hardware and account for appropriate presets. After all, many games do that already with the Steam Deck, and hopefully the Steam Machine gets the same treatment. If it does though, this thing could be a serious contender in the next generation of consoles, especially as the next Xbox looks increasingly PC-like.
Yeah, I say
Valve, about 20% of its Steam Deck users use the official dock to connect their handheld to the TV. That might not seem like a lot, but given that Valve has shipped millions of
that is a lot, 20%.
Product, mind you, 20% is not an insignificant number of people. However, there are limitations to running a Steam Deck on a TV. Chief among them is performance. While the Steam Deck is powerful enough for running PC games on its 800p display, it can't really handle higher resolutions very well, especially when you're connected to a 4K TV. The Steam Machine then is the answer. This is a living room gaming PC that should be able to play most games at 4K, assuming you're okay with upscaling from like 1080p or 1440p for more demanding stuff, which is increasingly common in the PC gaming space anyway. And while the Steam Machine will have to contend with similarly spec'd gaming PCs that can be upgraded, this isn't really intended for the do-it-yourself hardware enthusiast. Rather, this feels more like a PC for console gamers. You know, people who didn't play games on PC until the Steam Deck hit the market, or those who just want simplicity. It runs the same operating system and has the same library, only it'll be able to play games at much higher settings. Valve claims the Steam Machine is up to 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck, so it should avoid situations like Baldur's Gate 3, where the second you load into Act 3 on the handheld, your frame rate slows to a crawl. So if the Steam Deck made you flirt with the idea of PC gaming, the Steam Machine looks like it'll be the next logical step for you, especially as games get increasingly more demanding. For everyone else who already has a gaming PC, at least Steam as a platform is evolving. It's impossible to talk about PC hardware in 2025 without bringing up price. Devices from the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X in October to the RTX 5080 back in January have all launched with significantly higher prices compared to what they would have been in previous years. Console pricing hasn't fared much better, as the Switch 2 hit store shelves at $150 more than its predecessor, while the PS5 and Xbox Series X have both faced price hikes within the last year.
500.
Valve hasn't shared pricing for the Steam Machine, but they did tell us that it will be competitively priced with similarly spec'd gaming PCs. Keeping in mind that this is running a last generation GPU and processor, it could mean that pricing might end up being relatively reasonable, but we just won't know until Valve decides to share more. And we'll definitely cover that when the time comes, but the hope is that Valve keeps the Steam Machine under $1,000, hopefully. If it wants to compete with Xboxes and PlayStation space in the room, it'll have to.
Yeah. That's all I want from it. That's all I want from it. I just don't want it to be $1,000. Like a long as like I don't want it to be 1,000, and it don't even need to be in the 900 or 800 range. I say if they got the Xbox X at 650, I'm gonna keep my prices around there. 600 to 650 is what I'm pricing this out at. But it also they could surprise us, and this will be a cool 500. Cool 500. Everybody, they mama gonna get this. 500. SteamOS. Oh, everybody that got a console be wanting to pay peak, wanting to pay repo, wanting to pay all those PC games, bro. They're gonna run for this one for real. That's good, man. That's good for real. We could check out I really wanted to see more about the Steam Machine. But yeah, like the Steam frame and the controller, for sure. I'm gonna get a controller Steam frame. I mean, like I said, I just like it. I like it, but I don't care for it, but I do like it. But yeah, guys, let me know how y'all feel about this for the early information on the Steam Machine and everything. Valve, man, they killed it with this information today, for real. Guys, I will see y'all guys in the next video. Peace.